I walked 10,000 steps for 48 days so far on a 100-day challenge. And here's what's happened so far. A couple months ago, I set out to challenge myself to a kind of just like a movement challenge. If you've heard of 75 hard, something along those lines, except, I didn't like the idea of 75 hard because, what was it? You had to like work out twice a day for 45 minutes. One workout had to be outside. You had to follow, some kind of diet, like no sugar, no alcohol. I don't actually know the parameters, but it sounded hard, just like the name suggests. And I get it. It's supposed to be like a challenge, something that challenges you mentally, challenges you physically, and that sort of thing. But that just wasn't my jam. So I decided to make up my own challenge, and I decided I was going to call it like 100 medium, for lack of a better name. And the only parameters that I was really setting for myself was 100 ounces of water, at least per day, 100 grams of protein per day, and then 10,000 steps. Now, that probably doesn't sound too difficult if 75 hard doesn't sound difficult. And so actually, I've been working out consistently now for probably about 3.5, 4 years. There's little pauses in there between for having a baby. But so going to go exercise is not the challenge. For me, the biggest challenge was going to be to get 10,000 steps. And because I was looking at my Fitbit, and my average up until this point was 6,000, kind of 7,000 on a good day. And I knew that just that wasn't going to be enough. So the biggest challenge was going to be to get 10,000 steps, because I was averaging, maybe 5,000 as a base, and then 8,000 felt like a stretch. So how was I going to get 10,000 steps a day? It just felt super insurmountable. And because I was only getting 7,000 steps on a good day, I wasn't really sure how I was going to get 10,000 steps minimum without, it being that hard. As of today, I've hit so far 48 days of 10,000 steps. So what's happened? What's transpired? How have things changed? Has anything changed? In this video, I'll be talking all about what I've learned from making it halfway through my challenge. One of the things I didn't expect from doing this, mostly a step challenge, because really the protein and the water part were not hard, were not a major challenge. The biggest challenge for me was getting the movement in, because even though, I'd get up, I have 2 little kids, and, just daily life with a workout, and I was still only yielding 6,000, 7,000 steps. I was like, okay, I'm in a deficit, a shortfall of 3,000 steps. So how are we going to get it in? Also, another challenge that I hadn't mentioned is that I started this challenge in August. At least that's when I started kind of thinking about it. I started it in earnest, actually hitting 10,000 steps in September. And that was kind of because I was feeling this kind of block, because I live in Texas and it's flipping hot all the time from basically June. I mean, it's still pretty warm here and it's the end of October. But I was like, I'm not walking out in the middle of the day. I will die or sweat profusely. So if I want to get the steps in, I considered getting a walking pad, but I didn't want to fall well, first of all, storing it, would I really pull it out? I really considered it because I was like, well, I could watch TV and get steps at the same time. But I decided that I was going to save my pennies, and who knows, maybe I'll get a walking pad in the future. But I decided, okay, part of this challenge, I can walk outside. I can also go to the neighborhood gym. So they do have a treadmill in there, but I don't particularly love a treadmill. I don't. So I was like, all right, we're going to walk outside. So in order to do that, I was like, all right, we're going to have to walk when it's dark, because otherwise it's just unbearable. So how have I done it so far? So to get this far into doing 10,000 steps consistently for over 40 days now, what I do is on weekdays, because my kids are in school, my son has to be at school by 7:30, ergo, I try to wake up around 5:30, and then I try to go for a 20-minute-ish walk, and then, go about my day, go work out, and then at the end of the day, kind of depending on what kind of deficit or shortfall I'm in, then I will go for a second walk. So, for example, there have been many days where I get to the end of the day, put the kids down for bed, and I'm still only at like 7,500 steps. So I'll go for a walk. There was one time, actually 2 days in a row, a weekend, where by the time the kids went to bed, I was still only at 6,000 steps, which meant I had to make it up for it with 4,000 more steps, which, to put it in perspective, 2,500 steps is about a mile. I'm sure it varies because of people's strides and all that, but for me, if I hit about 2,500 steps, that's typically 1 mile. So when I had to do 4,000 steps, that was basically, okay, you need to go for a 2-mile walk, which, consecutively, not broken up. So that's when I knew that I was really in this challenge, that I was like, I'm committed, because I'm willing to go for a walk, willing to go for a 2-mile walk to hit this goal. And now, because I've done it so many times, I've kind of mapped out a route. I've mapped out a route for, depending on how many steps I need to get. So say I only need like 1,500 for the end of the day, like I will go on the shorter route. If I need another 2,500, I know which route that is. And if I'm really short on steps, I know I need to go the long route, and that's approximately 4,000-ish steps. So one of the things I didn't expect to happen from doing this challenge, like I'm still in the middle of it, is that I actually really look forward to my walks. They're a nice little mental health break from regular life. They are alone time. I can listen to whatever I want, or I can watch a YouTube video while I walk. It's time dedicated to just me. It's turned into an unexpected self-care ritual, which is great. And who knew? Never in a million years did I think that I would be excited or look forward to going for a walk. I've never been a super athletic person. Being outside it's not my jam. But I really wanted to prove this to myself, which is interesting, and just get more movement in. The experts and gurus and whatever, like, oh, you need to move more. It's important when after you turn 40, blah, blah, blah. So here I am trying to complete that assignment. I think the most shocking thing to me is that I've made it this far. I haven't given up on this challenge. Like, even when I'm about to be short, I'm like, okay, we got to complete this because now I'm on a streak. When you're at the beginning of any kind of challenge, if you stop or give up, you're like, oh, I've already broken my consistency. I've broken my streak. So no big deal if I give up on this. And I can't tell you the number of times that's happened to me and like this especially applies to nutrition and diet and whatever. Like, you start on a plan and then you sneak that cookie or that candy, and it's about to be Halloween, so that's appropriate to talk about. So, honestly, probably the biggest challenge I'm not talking about is getting right with like the nutrition side of things, but that's a different day, different story for a different day. We're talking about this walking challenge. Now, I wanted to tie it back to business because my channel is about helping photographers start and grow their photography businesses. So what does this walking challenge have to do with anything? Well, from what I've learned so far of doing this 100 medium or whatever I'm going to call it, is about consistency. To every day challenge yourself to take steps in the direction of building your business, being consistent. If that's being consistent on posting on social media, being consistent on reaching out to people, if that's being consistent about networking, setting up meetings, that sort of thing. If that's being consistent of taking photos, learning how to get the right exposure and getting your editing consistent, all of those things, like, in order to propel yourself forward, you need to be consistent. And here's another thing I learned is that you don't, when it comes to consistency, you don't have to be the best. You don't have to be the fastest. You don't have to have the most followers. You just have to commit to yourself, commit to your business, and say, I'm taking this one day at a time. I don't have to have it all figured out. I will, if I keep taking a step in the right direction, I will figure it out. So yeah, that's what this walking challenge has taught me about business. So I plan to do an update when I hit the 100 days and kind of decide, where do I go from there? Do I keep going? Do I try to add another 100 days? Whatever the case may be. And if you're curious about, was this for weight loss? Was this for, was I trying to hit a certain goal, size-wise, weight-wise, whatever? Yes and no. Turning 40 is kind of like, listen, if you're trying to lose weight or whatever, try to do it before you turn 40. I feel like I've been on a lifetime journey of trying to get to the weight I want to be. And really, that's not skinny mini, that's not tiny, because I know that would just never be me. At the same time, when you go to your annual doctor visit and they're like, hey, you need XYZ, yeah, we're trying to address XYZ. And so I thought, okay, maybe these walks can at least, get the movement in. Maybe it'll help with, cholesterol, all those other things that you have to think about when you're over 40. So annoying, so annoying. But yeah, I've sort of tracked my weight. I'm not, because listen, ladies, if you're like me, you only like to see the scale go down, not go back up. And the reality of the situation is that it fluctuates so much. It's super annoying depending on the time of the month, etc., etc. So, however, from when I started to where I'm at today on day 48, I've lost 5 pounds, more or less, plus minus 5 pounds. It's kind of been fluctuating within there. I'm hoping that maybe by the time I hit 100, maybe another 5 pounds will go away. So anyway, just taking you along on this journey, on this walking challenge, and hope you have a great day.